Bloomburrow is a few weeks old at the time of recording this video, and some of the best legends of the set have floated to the surface. Wick the Whorled Mind, Baylen the Haymaker, Gev Scaled Scorch. Not only are these some of the best legends in the set, but they're all cheap and easy to get. About $1 at the time of recording. So let's brew what I do best and take a look at 3 budget builds from Bloomburrow and see if we can't make the most of every penny for you. Stay tuned because some of these decks break records for the channel. Let's start with Wick the Whorled Mind. Currently going for just about 10 cents, you can pick up a fancy version of this commander and still be under $1. This 4-mana 2/4 Rat Warlock reads, whenever Wick or another rat you control enters, create a 1/1 black snail creature token if you don't control a snail. Otherwise, put a +1/+1 counter on a snail you control. Then you can pay blue, black, and red and sacrifice a snail. Wick deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to each opponent. Then draw cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power. Wick initially reads as some kind of rat-typal commander, caring when rats enter under your control, and then gives you a way to make a big snail and sacrifice it to draw cards. That activation cost being blue, black, and red gives us some real options here, as we've seen rat-typal legends in the past, like Maronar, that keep us in mono-black, but more colors means more fun. The reason I want to budget brew around Wick is easy. There is a simple combo involving one card that ends the game instantly. Conspiracy. This black enchantment is unique. While we've seen other ways to make everything you control into other creature types like Arcane Adaptation or Maskwood Nexus, Conspiracy is the only one of these effects that removes other types. So if you name rat with Conspiracy, Wick no longer makes snails or even snail rats, it just makes rats. And since Wick doesn't specify non-token, it means if Wick makes a rat, it triggers to make a rat, which triggers to make a rat, causing an infinite, unstoppable loop. This can draw the game on the spot if no one can interact with it or if you can't capitalize on it. That's super effective. Even better, Conspiracy has typically been a $10 card until just recently. With a reprinting in the Assassin's Creed set, you can get a copy of Conspiracy for just about 50 cents. But I did mention being able to take advantage of the infinite loop, and rather than drawing the game, being able to end it. But how? How about we deal some damage whenever a creature enters? Impact Tremors or Agate Instigator or Molten Gatekeeper all deal 1 damage to each opponent whenever a creature enters under your control. With an infinite loop of rats, this can immediately win you the game. And each of these cards is $1 or less. You could also go with an Aristocrat route too. With a sack outlet on board like a Viscera Seer, Woe Strider, or Carrion Feeder, once your loop kicks off, you've got everything you need to start infinitely triggering classic effects like Blood Artist, Nadier's Nightblade, or Zulaport Cutthroat. That can drain all opponents with your infinite rats and infinite sacrifices. Or you could combine the 2 effects with a Mirkwood Bats, draining each opponent whenever you create or sacrifice a token. This less than $1 creature is a perfect include in the deck to end the game in a heartbeat. The rest of the deck can be filled with actual rats, because you're going to want to have ways to make a beefy snail and dig for your Conspiracy to end the game out. This includes red rat makers like Ogre Chitterlord, and new blue rats from Bloomburrow like Azure Beastbinder and Shoreline Looter. You can also include a whole bunch of cheap, power-boosting equipment like Nettle Cyst or Blackblade Reforged to make your snail big, sacrifice it to draw cards, and dig closer to your infinite loop piece. I've managed to put together a brew for just $35. You can check it out in the description right now. Be sure to let me know what you think and if there's anything you'd add to the deck too. Next up is a fan favorite, the Naya-colored Rabbit Warrior Baylen the Haymaker. Currently the #1 legend out of the whole Bloomburrow set, it's priced at about 75 cents at the time of recording, making it super easy to pick up a copy of this rare legend. Baylen begs us to do one thing, and it's disgusting. Tap tokens. Baylen reads, tap 2 untapped tokens you control, add 1 mana of any color. Tap 3 untapped tokens you control, draw a card. Tap 4 untapped tokens you control, put 3 +1/+1 counters on Baylen the Haymaker. It gains trample until end of turn. Note that those abilities do not say token creatures. meaning we can be tapping food or clues or anything else to get these sweet, sweet benefits. I put together a pretty convoluted combo using Baylen in a short recently, linked up top, but that relied heavily on token doublers like Anointed Procession, Doubling Season, and Parallel Lives. Not very budget friendly, that's for sure. But with this legend being under $1, let's see how cheap we can put together a token brew for, starting with ways to make lots of tokens. And on a budget, we have a few ways to do that. I am a big fan of spells that double as removal like Aura Mutation, Artifact Mutation, and Martial Coup. These pull double duty in your deck, meaning you've got a bit more budget to play with. Since the mutations are instant speed, it means you can blow up a big artifact or enchantment and untap with a ready-made army. Don't overlook creatures that make more tokens too. Kadira, Caller of the Small, and Hallowed Spirit Keeper both make creature tokens, while Rocco Street Chef makes a surprising amount of food tokens while also adding some much-needed card advantage to your repertoire. Assemble the Legion, though it can take a while to get moving, makes you more tokens than you'll basically ever need in the long run. It's a great way to set up for life if you ramp a few turns ahead. Since even on a budget we have access to Cultivate, Farseek, and Rampant Growth, it means that we can get a few turns ahead early, drop a turn 3 or 4 Assemble, and just go to town, Baylen or not. But I think the real big benefit here is that we can layer infinite combos in the deck and stay on theme. These are infinite combos that may not need our commander, but certainly benefit from our commander. I even managed to fit classic Scurry Oak and Ivy Lane Denizen combo into the deck at this budget. All you need is a green creature to enter, and the Denizen can put a counter on the Scurry Oak, making a green squirrel, making the Ivy Lane Denizen put another counter on the Oak, and with Baylen out, all those squirrels can be fuel for making infinite mana and drawing your whole library. But the third infinite combo is another classic, Emiel the Blessed and Brood Monitor. Brood Monitor makes 3 Eldrazi Scion on enters, which you can sack to activate Emiel to blink the monitor and do it all over again infinitely. But if we add Baylen into the mix, since the Scions don't need to tap to sacrifice for mana, we can first tap them to Baylen's ability, either to draw a card each loop, or by making mana with all 3. Once we have our deck in our hand, we can be casting everything with infinite mana and infinite resources. It's an infinite loop. And believe it or not, the deck I've put together, that includes aggro lines, value lines, and infinite combos, clocks in at under $45 at time of recording. That's less than a fresh pre-con at your game store off the shelf. Check out the full list linked in the description at my sponsor Moxfield, and be sure to let me know what cards you'd add to make it your own. Now, last but not least is this little guy, Gev Scaled Scorch. Gev is just 2 mana and has so much text on him. This 3/2 Lizard Mercenary reads, Ward, pay 2 life. Other creatures you control enter with an additional +1/+1 counter on them for each opponent who lost life this turn. Whenever you cast a Lizard spell, Gev Scaled Scorch deals 1 damage to target opponent. Now, there is a lot that we can do here, including something similar to Wick with Conspiracy to name Lizard and cast creature spells. But I want to take advantage of that second ability. As long as we have at least 1 opponent lose life each turn, our creatures enter with counters on them. That is combo heaven, as seen in the past with Grumgully the Generous, and the way it interacts with persist creatures and +1/+1 counters, canceling out -1/-1 counters. If you want to know more about that interaction, you can check out my recent short explaining it linked up top. But basically, it means that we can turn persist creatures into infinite sacrifice fodder as long as an opponent lost life. It makes Goblin Bombardment one of the best includes in the deck, as it's not only an enabler for the ability, but it's also a free sack outlet and win con pairing with Gev and any persist creature. But can we build out an entire budget deck based on this premise alone? Let's first take a look at persist creatures like Lesser Masticore, Putrid Goblin, and Wing Rattle Scarecrow. These are cheap little guys that have persist, and while they can do other things, all they're really needed for is being able to sacrifice them over and over again. The real all-star in this way is Murderous Redcap. This little guy is his own win con when combined with any sacrifice outlet and Gev, since he enables Gev's ability on enters and keeps coming back and dealing damage over and over. That's an efficient little combo. It means we need more free sacrifice outlets too though. Viscera Seer, Woe Strider, and Carrion Feeder all feature heavily here, since we get infinite creatures and can benefit by scrying infinitely on top of just, winning the game. If we can create this loop without a win con, some of these outlets help us find a win con. And that win con can be the same as in our Wick deck too. Witty Roastmaster, Impact Tremors, or Molten Gatekeeper. We have creatures entering the battlefield infinitely, and this is infinite damage to boot. We can even substitute our commander for a similar effect that's harder to interact with, First Day of Class. It gives all creatures we control an additional +1/+1 counter on them when they enter until end of turn, meaning we can pop this off without our commander out. Aristocrat effects are a must-have here too, in case you can get your loop up and running. Zulaport Cutthroat, Falconwrath Noble, and Vindictive Vampire all take out each of your opponents at once, making this an efficient game ender. I've even managed to sneak in a few super budget tutors too. Final Parting, Razakith's Right, and Mausoleum Secrets make finding the missing piece of your combo that much easier, and they don't break the bank. In fact, this deck breaks a record on the channel, clocking in at just $30 at time of recording. It is now the cheapest brew I have ever put together, and definitely one of the most effective. Be sure to check out the deck list, linked in the description, at my sponsor Moxfield. Leave a comment with what you would add if you were looking to upgrade this or any of today's brews. And be sure to leave a comment with which one of these decks was your favorite. While you're here, be sure to check out these other brews on the channel. If you were inspired to build a deck today, you have to hit that subscribe button. And as always, folks, good luck and have fun.